What's up? It's your girl, Danny D, the Princess of Delaware, and I am here for another video about Power Rangers. So I right now am on like fangirl mode because Gemini BTS just dropped a new album. Now, if you didn't know, now you know I love BTS. You probably should have known from the video I had made dancing to Jungkook's 7 in my different Power Ranger t-shirts. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it with today's video. First, I want to give a shout out to Mama Jude Say 6912. Appreciate the comment. Also, girl 719. Appreciate the comment and happy birthday. Also, Neat, thanks for your support, and to everybody who liked the last video, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. The people who support me have been supporting me for a long time, and I appreciate them and love them. So that's that. I do have my notes, of course. I take notes on the stuff that I will be bringing to you because I analyze it. I want to make sure that what I am bringing has some factual, some research, some sincerity with it, okay? With the spirit of BTS in me right now. I am about to say something very controversial, okay? Let me start off by saying that this particular episode will be about the Power Rangers movie. So, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie from 1995. And let me just go right ahead and just say let me say the controversial statement. Power Rangers Turbo, the movie, is better than Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I know it. Somebody's head just exploded. Like, I know somebody's head just exploded. Somebody just was like, minding their business, and then all of a sudden it was like, what? What did you just say? Yeah, no. Okay. Calm down. I can explain myself. Okay, I've had this opinion for a very long time. It is an unpopular opinion about Power Rangers. And people love that first movie. People absolutely adore that first movie. And like, I'm not saying that I don't adore it. I absolutely love it too. I watched it twice today to get ready for this. And, you know, I mean, you've got to know a movie is going to be amazing when in the first few minutes of the movie, the characters are jumping from an airplane to skydive, and then immediately after they've gotten done skydiving, they then go inline skating, the most 90s thing that you could do. So you know we're gonna have an amazing movie. And just a little background information. The budget was $15 million, and in the box office they made $66.4 million back, meaning that it was financially successful for them. Before we go any further, one of the things I wanted to remember to mention is that Power Rangers is adapted from the Japanese Super Sentai. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah, a lot of people don't actually know that it was from Japan. I should say a lot of locals don't know that it's from Japan. And our beloved Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was adapted from Japan's Zyuranger. Okay? And in season 2, that was all of season 1. was Ranger. Season 2 features a Ranger suit from the Japanese season Die Ranger, and also their Zords. So if you were a Power Ranger fan and you were able to watch season 1 going into season 2, and you saw the changes that happened, Tommy became the White Ranger. The White Ranger suit is the Kiba Ranger from Super Sentai. And you may have noticed that they received new Zords in the second season that they were calling Thunder Zords, and those Zords are from Die Ranger from Japan. And then into season 3 of Mighty Morphin, and I may pronounce this wrong, but you have Kaku Ranger, and they were ninjas, which is why they get ninja power, so ninjetti. And we'll talk about that in this particular episode, because that is what happens in the movie. Now, what's hilarious is the whole reason why I came up with this whole idea, and the reason why I say the things that I say about the original first Power Ranger movie is because of what I liked about Turbo versus what I don't like about the Mighty Morphin movie. But I want to tell you at the end that I found the answer. Like I did in the last video, I found the answer to my original question, which makes me feel a little bit better, and I think I can move on from this. But anyway, okay, so I hope you weren't too devastated when I said that the Turbo movie was better than Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. But as I said before, no, that movie was amazing. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie is an amazing movie, and we see our heroes in a different setting, sort of, even though it's supposed to be Angel Grove. We see them bigger and better. As I noted here, you know, the actors and the actresses that are a part of Power Rangers deserved to be on the big screen. This story deserved to be on the big screen. Our heroes, the Power Rangers, deserved to be on the silver screen. Okay? Another thing that I really love about this movie is that, you know, they go on a quest. If you didn't know this about me, I am a huge Indiana Jones fan. Like, I love Indiana Jones. Specifically, I love Temple of Doom. I love the idea of a character that has to go on a quest. I know sometimes we've seen quests on the show, but not to this extent, not to this degree. I believe we saw a quest when they had to go to, was it Venus Island? And they all had like situations that they had to overcome. But I feel like the show, I don't know, the show's quests weren't enough, maybe? I don't know. But there is definitely a difference between the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie quest and the show's quest, in my opinion. Should I give you a brief synopsis of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie? Not everyone knows Power Rangers. You'd be really surprised. Like, people really, well, I guess I should say, like, it's like any fandom. Like, you know, I know a lot about Power Rangers, but I also know a lot about BTS. And I'm pretty sure that there are some there are some people who might watch this video who know everything about Power Rangers and nothing at all about BTS. You know, so it's like I don't want to. On the one hand, I'm feeling like, should I regurgitate like the entire movie, or should I, you know, hold back? You know, and then I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but spoiler. So basically, what ends up happening is there is a monster that has been found, and it is Ivan Ooze. And he decides, you know, Lord Zed has actually been looking for him and glad to see him, because he's thinking like, oh, you can help me defeat the Power Rangers and you'll be one of my loyal subjects. Ivan Ooze is not having it. Ivan Ooze does at first work on Lord Zed's side. He goes to the command center. He is able to infiltrate the command center and tear it apart, leaving Zordon out of his time warp, which means he is dying. Which, you know, like everything that I just said, for someone who doesn't know anything about Power Rangers, would just be like, what? What is a Zordon? Zordon is their, as they actually said in the movie, leader. Zordon is like their father figure guy who's like, you guys are the Power Rangers, you can do it, like, you know, you've got to make this decision on your own, blah blah blah. He is a mentor. So anyway, Zordon is now left out of his time warp. He's dying. And so what the Power Rangers do is now they have to go on this quest to get the Great Power. That's literally what it's called. It's called the Great Power. And they have to go to an island called Phaedos to do so. It's so funny because when I be explaining Power Rangers, I be like, yo, this stuff is silly. But I am so serious about it. So I do not care that it's silly. I am so serious and very sincere. So they go to Phaedos. They end up meeting Tengu warriors, and which are bird creatures, replacements for putties. Basically, if you are familiar with season 1, then you know putties, which are just little like henchmen. And in that process, this is when Dulcia arrives, who's a random character. Power Rangers is good for that. Power Rangers will throw you a random character in and just be like, here you go. Don't have no back history story, nothing. You just, here, she's in there now. So anyway, so you have Dulcia. She helps them, but she's also leery of them. Like, she ends up taking Tommy down. And then it's Aisha who's like, hey, our leader, Zordon, he's in trouble. And then once Dulcia hears the name Zordon, she's like, Zordon, hold up, who are y'all? So that's when Dulcia decides to help them to go get this great power. Yes, so Dulcia decides to go ahead and help them, and how she does that is she gives them ninjetti powers. Okay, this is where you get the ninjetti situation from. Okay, which is just another basically costume, and they look like ninjas. And so after that, though, she can't go with them any further, and she just is like, y'all gotta go get the great power on your own now. So it's basically them just walking through like what looks like forest, and like they have this one situation where they walk through the forest and it's like scattered with fossils, and one of the fossils comes alive, so then they have to like try to defeat it, and they do. And then they get to a wall which looks like it could be the great power or something that has to do with the great power. It's like, what do we do? And the statues that are within this wall come to life. They defeat them, and then they get the great power. They're able to go back home to Angel Grove and defeat Ivan Ooze and save Zordon. I mean, it's the Power Rangers and they're superheroes, so the expectation is that they're gonna win. Okay. I hope I didn't spoil it to make you think like, oh, the Power Rangers, maybe they wasn't gonna win. No, they was gonna win. Even everyday episodes, like, they gonna win. So that's just the way it is. That's any superhero. But except for X-Men. X-Men are interesting because they win, but they don't. It's like they took one step up and then 2 steps back. That's how the X-Men roll. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, that's the whole plot line of the Power Ranger movie. I don't know what's up with Power Rangers and why they edit the way that they edit their program. I heard that there's so much more to it. To both Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie and Power Rangers Turbo the movie. I heard there's so much more to it that was scrapped. And I don't know if it's because it had to fit in a certain time or just what, but there are pieces missing. But there's pieces missing in most episodes. So. But anyway, so, basically going back to my most ridiculous statement of Power Rangers Turbo, the movie is a better movie than Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Going back to that ridiculous statement. Why? Why would I say that? What's been my problem all these many years with the Power Ranger movie? Okay, so I feel like, why is it so far removed from the show? It's different from the show, and not only is it different from the show, it gives 2 different storylines. And what I mean by that is that while we watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie and we see them get ninjetti powers through Dulcia and that whole quest, on the show in season 3 we see a completely different quest and we meet a new character named Ninjor. Okay, now one has to remember the movie is based off of something that was written by someone, and it's just has the influence from Japan, because we're still in the movie, we're still using Japan Zords, we're still using the idea of the Power Rangers in the movie, but on the show we're adapting the Sentai to the American. So they're using the footage from Japan to create the American show. But I still feel like if that's the case, why not just write it so that it went along with the show? That forever for me is just a question that I have. Like, that is the part of it that just makes me, I'm just so disturbed from it. That's the one thing that has hurt my feelings about Power Rangers. Now, I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I love the movie. But I think even as a kid, and at that time I probably was around 10 or 11, I expected more. I wanted more. So you give me Power Rangers the movie, and then I watched the show, and you've done nothing to upgrade the show. You've done absolutely nothing to upgrade the show. You had Dulcia in the movie. Dulcia does not have anything to do with the show. You had Aisha, the Yellow Ranger, with a suit that had lights and a helmet. You do not get that on the show. Rocky had some kind of supervisor thing. You do not get that on the show. It doesn't translate to the show. And that has been, in all of these years, my biggest hang up with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. And another wild fact about it is that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie premiered in April in 1995. The Ninja Quest of season 3 took place in episodes on September 11th to the 14th of 1995. So the movie came out before, and it doesn't catch up. The whole Ninjetti thing doesn't catch up until they get to season 3 in September. So a whole 5 months? A whole 5 months. Now in the movie you've seen them get Ninjetti powers, get new Zords, and on the show you're still rocking with the old Thunder Zords. Now you're saying, what does this have to do with the Power Ranger Turbo movie? Okay, let me explain. Power Rangers, the Turbo movie, literally follows the show. Power Rangers, the Turbo movie, instead of being a movie, could have been episodes. It could have been a 5-part miniseries or something. It could have been the equivalent of like the Green Ranger miniseries, the Evil Green Ranger miniseries. My dog is here, by the way. You hear his noises. And it would have made sense to do it that way as well. But they didn't. They wanted a movie, and that's cool. Like, it was really nice. It was a decent movie. I like the way it was filmed, the cinematography of it. Like, there's a way that, I don't know what it's called, but I'm gonna call it a filter that they use to make it look matte instead of shiny, if that makes sense. And I really like that because it looks more like the TV show. And it followed the TV show, even though, you know, like, you still have questions about like Zeo, because Turbo is coming after Zeo. And I know y'all are like, what? If you don't know anything about Power Rangers, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you know something about Power Rangers, congratulations. I'm glad you know what I'm talking about. So there's a season called Power Rangers Zeo, and there's a season called Power Rangers Turbo. And Power Rangers Zeo, I watched the last episode today trying to figure this out. Like, why did they need turbo power, right? And I'm still questioning that. Because at the end of Turbo, the only one who actually lost their powers was Jason as the Gold Ranger, because Traya Triforia went back to being one person. I know that's the wildest thing you ever heard. Like, if it's any of my friends watching this, they're gonna be like, what? Traya Triforia, think about it like that, okay? Try, what does that mean? 3. He was triplets. And due to, you know, a situation with power and whatever, his life was unbalanced and he became 3 instead of 1 whole. So anyway, because of that, he had to transfer his power into someone else. Well, they brought back Jason from the original Mighty Morphin team and made him the Gold Ranger for Power Rangers Zeo, which is an awesome season. Don't let nobody tell you that it's not awesome. In the end, he ended up having to lose those powers because Traya Triforia he was losing the powers anyway, because they were going in and out of him. It was like on and off, and he couldn't control it. And so Traya Triforia pulled themselves together and was able to get back their power. So Jason's the only one who lost the Zeo power. Everyone else still had Zeo power. So in the Power Ranger Turbo movie, we see Catherine try to morph into her Zeo power. And I'm wondering if this is one of those things where, like, it was not explained because they ran out of whatever they ran out of, or they had to cut scenes to it, you know what I mean? So I don't see why they lost their Zeo power. Because what's interesting about Power Rangers is that every time they get a new power, it's better than the last power, but they always lose whatever the last power was. Anyway, so with the Turbo movie, everything makes sense. It introduces you to Divatox. It introduces you to Liargo and his family. It introduces you to what's the bad guy that she wants to marry? I do believe that's Malagor. Yeah, Malagor. And what else? And it introduces you to, you guys, I'm the new Blue Ranger. It introduces you to a child taking on the role as Blue Ranger, Justin. Anyway. So as it progresses as an extended episode. You know, they go, I mean, I guess you could say Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie is an extended episode, but it's really not. It's like its a whole own thing. And the Turbo movie actually, like, once the movie's finished, so they did not like full on defeat Divatox, right? So when the new season starts, because Zeo has finished and now we're going into Turbo, they now have this whole thing lined up and they're able to show a montage of Turbo, the movie, on an episode of the first episode of Power Rangers Turbo, the season. And I appreciate that. Like, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for making it what it is supposed to be about, the show. So that's my whole problem. Is just the question overall is, why is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie completely different from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the show? And the answer is because it just is. Like, I asked a friend, because my initial thought was like, okay, if you look at like the MCU, everything is connected. And I asked a friend, I was like, do any of the movies in the MCU like don't correspond with each other, like don't go along with the storyline? And he's like, no, they all fit into the storyline of each other. So whatever happens in Spider-Man universe is like connected somehow to the Iron Man universe, and whatever happened in Wakanda is somehow connected to all of them. They're the Avengers when they come together, so it's like connected. And I'm sure there are things that are here or there that's like question mark from the MCU, but for the most part we know like how they're intermingled and makes sense, even though Spider-Man is Spider-Man, Iron Man is Iron Man, Black Panther is Black Panther, etc., etc. Like, you know that, but it's cohesive when they become the Avengers, or cohesive when, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, Storm technically was married to T'Challa at one point. So X-Men is connected to, you know, Wakanda and Black Panther. So I asked him, you know, that, because I'm like, why Power Rangers is not like that with their movie? I don't know really the answer. I honestly didn't like read up more, but I did Google the question, is Power Rangers the movie, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, is it canon to Power Rangers? And the answer is no. And so with that answer, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can get over it then. Because to know that really, if I subtract Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie from like our life, it doesn't affect the show in any way. Because I love the show. I'm huge on the show. You know, congratulations for having made movies. And like I said before, you deserved that. The actors and actresses deserved to be on the big screen. Like, in other words, Power Rangers deserves more than what it gets. And it's misfortunate that we can't be taken as seriously as the MCU or as DC Like there's some kind of like weird thing, about Power Rangers. And I don't know if it's because I assume it's primarily because it was promoted towards children. But even so, like, at this point now, I'm a 40-year-old who still loves Power Rangers to this day, all of them, and it's 30 years old, you know what I'm saying? And so I just feel like, what's the problem, But anyway, I digress. So one of the things that I really appreciate about the show is that, like I feel like, okay, so the movie was dramatic in this idea that they could lose Zordons. Like, they played that up. Kimberly really played that up. You know what I mean? Ever since you've come into our lives, you've been like a father for us. And we know that Kimberly has a situation. Well, if you watch the show, but of course, technically, the movie doesn't have anything to do with the show. But if you watch the show, Kimberly's gone through a divorce with her parents. So, that's meaningful, if you know the show. But I don't know, for whatever reason, with Zordon's whole situation where he's out of his time warp and he's dying, doesn't bring the emotion that seeing their Zords fall apart does for me. Like in the Ninja Quest, the first episode, their Zords go into like this overload mode, and they basically, like, they fall out of the Zords, of course, and then they just break down. And we're talking about the Thunder Megazord, both Thunder Megazord and also Tommy's Thunder Tiger Zord. And they're like in Megazord format, and their limbs just start falling off. The arm falls off, head falls off, like and they're watching this, and you have to think about it like this, right? I'm a kid, I'm 10, and I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen now? And Kimberly is like, no, and she's very emotional. Like, Kim gave emotions, like, oh, anyway. Y'all know I'm biased. Pink Ranger. But anyway, I just feel like seeing that and seeing their emotions and how they played out. Like, oh my, the command center. Well, the command center explodes later, but right now we're just talking about the Zords. And so it's like, what are we gonna do? And so Zordon's like, y'all are gonna have to go on the quest to, get the power of the Ninjetti. And so they go about their business. And I just feel like that was more dramatic than the Power Rangers movie. I think what was really cool about Power Rangers the movie was the parents having been turned into Ivan Ooze's slaves, and then he tells them, leap to your doom, and then they chant leap to our doom throughout the streets of Angel Grove to go jump off of a cliff. That's wild. Like, all of those things might not be suited for YouTube, but like, that's happening on there. And then a little boy is like, yo, we gotta help our parents. I want to know more about what he was doing. Like, I am disappointed when I did look up some stuff, and it got harsh reviews. The Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie got harsh reviews. It's one of those things where it's like, as an adult, you're not gonna understand. I mean, wait. Adult here, I understand. at the time in 1995, I feel like adults who weren't in the fandom weren't gonna understand the movie, like, at all, you know, regardless of whether they were for the show or not for the show, or, you know, for the movie or not for the movie. Like, they weren't gonna understand, like, how it works. I am, you know, looking back at it and watching it again, like, as Walter's character said in Once and Always, cute quips. That entire movie was cute quips. Like, every time you turn around, it was like Billy said, you ooze, you lose. It was Kimberly, Mr. Raisin Head. It was what else was one of them? Have a nice trip. See you next fall. And what's funny, and I noticed this, is that when Kimberly gets into her Zord, she says, nice stereo. And in the first episode, she says, nice stereo. And then I read about the whole canon thing, and they said that it was supposed to be like the first episode of Power Rangers. But how could it be the first episode of Power Rangers? The first episode of Power Rangers, you literally see Zordon be like, Alpha, we need teenagers. And then they get teenagers. And then you have to tell the teenagers, like, y'all are going to be the Power Rangers. Dude, you okay? It's my dog. It's my dog. He randomly jumps. So anyway, and then they're like, nah, we not about this. And then they go on about their business, but then they decide to go ahead and be heroes. This movie didn't do that. This movie, we knew who the heroes were. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't, like, read up more. I didn't watch any videos of maybe the people being at a con answering questions. And honestly, like, I don't even have to go that far. At the end of the day, that part, the ideal that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, is not canon to Power Rangers, the show. Great movie. Not my favorite then. You know what I mean? Like, Power Ranger Turbo is going to be my favorite movie from Power Rangers. Just because it follows the show. I know what's going on. It follows the show, and then the show follows it. It's like, we got turbo powers. Shit, turbo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even though, like, I don't even like Turbo the season like that. And there's a long story for that one as well, having to do with the fact that in the first 19 episodes, we have our original Rangers, and then after that, they have decided to move on into different things. And we get a new set of people playing Power Rangers. At that point, I kind of had to walk away. It was bad enough that I lived through the trauma of losing Zach, Trini, Jason, go through the trauma of losing Kimberly, go through the trauma of losing Billy, go through the trauma now of losing Jason again, go through the trauma of getting a child as a Power Ranger, and then now you're expecting me to deal with the trauma of losing Tommy? No, like, it already was bad enough when you thought he was gonna lose his powers as the Green Ranger and not come back, and we needed him back, and so y'all had to bring him back as the White Ranger. And now we get all the way here to Turbo, and God bless them, because I know that these actors and actresses wanted different roles. They wanted to be other things. They wanted to get other jobs and do something else besides being a Power Ranger, and I get it. But you want me to watch and not let me, I don't want to diss the actors and actresses of Turbo, okay, because I love them too. But it was a shock. It was as a child, it was a shock, and I had to walk away. As an adult, I was able to come back and get over that, you know. But anyway, I have gone over my time, except not really. Um, there's more. There's so much more that I can get into about Turbo, but I'm not. I've made my point pretty much. People aren't going to agree with me at all about the Power Ranger movie because it meant a lot to them. And I understand because it means a lot to me as well. There's always going to be something amazing about when you hear that local Power Rangers. Like, there's always going to be like chills, goosebumps when it comes to certain aspects about Power Rangers to this day. Like, there are certain parts of Power Rangers that still give me goosebumps. Like at the end of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie, when they, basically it's like they go back to the command center and, Alpha 5 is like, Rangers, you're back. And then he's like, well, I'm afraid you're too late because Zordon's already KO. And they're all sad, like, oh no, they've lost their mentor and father-like figure. And then Tommy speaks up as the hero that he is and says, guys, remember, basically, I don't remember everything he said, but in so many words, it was, you gotta have faith. That's why I heard a sermon. I heard a sermon, and that is to have faith. And then they did their hands like this with each other and started believing in the healing powers of Mighty Morphin, the Morphin Grid. And when they had the power of the Morphin Grid and they were able to bring Zordon back to life from the time warp coma that he was in, praise God. And or the Morphin Grid, one of the two there, I will always find a way to preach Power Rangers. Like, there is so much Heavenly Father faith-based stuff because it's a storyline of good versus evil. So there's always some faith in it. But anyway, let me chill out, calm down. I really enjoy talking about Power Rangers. No one may ever think that that's a thing. They also may think that it's really difficult to be able to sit down and have a conversation with yourself about Power Rangers, but for me, I there's no difficulty whatsoever. I've been doing this for years. I absolutely love Power Rangers, as you can see. And regardless of how I feel or how you feel or whatever, at the end of the day, it leaves us, those who love it, it leaves us with a really good feeling in our hearts. At least that's what I think. I feel like, Boo, you good? I feel like it leaves me with a good feeling. So let me go ahead and say, because I got my notes. So, okay. Although I have like a plethora of things listed to be able to come here and make these videos, it would be wonderful if you had any suggestions. Like, please feel free. Tell me how you feel about this. Do you like the movie? Do you not like the movie? Is it something you don't want to say out loud because you know that the fandom will come for you? Don't be afraid. This is a safe space. You can tell me, okay? So yes, you can follow me on Instagram. It's @Princess of Delaware. You can also follow me on the TikTok, which is also @Princess of Delaware. And if you want to message me there, that's fine as well. So let's see if I can do this YouTube thing and say, so remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to know when new videos will be posted. Okay, so I'll stay powerful and pink, and you stay more phenomenal.